Hey guys, Justin here. Today I'll be showing the beginners and experienced whip makers on how to make this 6-foot target whip. So I hope you guys learned something. Here we go. Anyways, let's start the overlay. Hope you guys are enjoying yourself so far. Alright guys, today is the 26th. It is 9 o'clock at night. We are ready for our overlay, which you guys just seen the all the measurements that are required for this overlay. I'm going to go through it right now though and talking about it because it's a little more complex than you might think. I mean, okay, so we have two. Now this is the 550 paracord. We have two 23-foot strands, one 18-foot strand, one 12-foot strand, and one 10-foot strand. And there's also a 15, but that one is going to be the center color in between the 275s. So there's a 15-foot strand that's 550 as well. But make that one the different color. So what I'm doing is, right here, I have them all pre-cut. They're all measured at halfway, and they're all melted at halfway. Even the 275. So when the strands drop, they're gonna be pretty close to equal, but we'll snip them so they're offset, so they don't actually drop exactly at the same time. Okay. Now, my colors I'm using. If you guys want to copy my whip, that's entirely up to you. I'm using graphite 550 for the majority of the 550 paracord, and then my highlight strand, which is the 15-footer, is black. That's the center shot in between the 275. Now my highlight strands, which are the 275s, are acid purple, and that's 275 paracord, so or 3/32. And that's going to be our overlay. So it's basically 16 plat, but you have two strands that are 275. So let's get set up. And this is for a whip. You can extend it out to about 6.5 foot, but I believe this one's going to be a 6-footer. So, but you got some leeway there. A couple inches. Alright, so let's get set up. I'll show you guys how to do it right now. You guys are whip makers now. Alright, so I have all the centers right here. They're melted together, and like I said, I did halfway. So if you have the two 23-footers, that would be 11 and a half feet for the two longest strands that are graphite for me. I want you to do that halfway all the way across the board. That way there's no confusion. And when we drop the strands, like I said, we'll offset them a little bit. Now these strands are already gutted. I gutted them out and melted them together. So what I want you guys to do is get your setup something like this. So 275, your highlight 550, 275, and then the rest, which will be the main color of the whip, basically. This is graphite, acid purple, and black again. If you guys wanted to follow my theme, so. Now, getting set up. Let's hop on the vise here and onto our whip. Alright, so we're on the vise and we're on the whip here. So now, what I want you to do is look at your whip. Well, you guys can't see this. Make sure the natural flow of the whip is bent straight down. So when your whip starts from here and goes down, that it should just droop down, straight down. You don't want it drooping off to the side. You want to follow the natural flow of what it's doing. Okay? And that'll be our center shot. Which if you look at right here, well, you can't see through that, but the V is actually pretty much straight on, so that'll work out good for us. Now, this is 8 strands on each side. What we're going to do, we're going to take the bottom 4 on this side, these bottom 4, that includes the 275. It's going to be a little messy at first, and it doesn't matter which strands are in line. The shortest one is the top, it doesn't matter, so, because no matter what, they're going to get dropped. So, take these bottom 4 right here. We're going to go around the back. And here's what we're going to do. Just like the second belly. We're going to go around the front, but that might be kind of hard because, let's see. Pull those around to that side. Hopefully you guys can see that. I got them pinched back there with my other finger. And we're going to go over 4 and under 4 to get lined out here. Okay, so you should have something like that. And if you're wondering where I got this theme from, it's actually from a band with one of my favorite drummers. I'm a drummer myself, I just don't have a drum kit right now, but I played when I was younger. And the band is actually called Sons of Apollo, and this is their new album, so I'm kind of following the album cover theme. And the drummer I like is Mike Portnoy. He's known for being in Dream Theater back in the day. One of my favorite bands as well. But the new Sons of Apollo is pretty good. It's a little different, but very good group, super group. So if you guys are interested, check that out. Sons of Apollo, MMXX is the album. So we are set up right now, and we're gonna move these strands as high up as we can get. And we're obviously going to start with the top because it's pointing over there, so make sure your back strands are not overlapped. There we go. Big head in the way again. So pull this one down a little bit. Pull that one down. That one down. It's nice when you melt them center shot because then they're almost like a stopper, but you know that's the center. So pointing to that corner, we're going to grab this one. We're going to start our overlay. Under 4, over 4. And now we're going to grab this one. So we're pointing over here. under 4/4. And you're gonna have to straighten it out as you go. You'll see how your V is lining out. Don't pull them tight yet. That's coming up. Under 4/4 on this side. Under 4/4 on this side. And the 275 does get a little interesting when you have to go over it, but just count it as a 550, and you'll see it kind of just falls right in place. So it's pointing to this side. You go under 4/4 over here, and then on this side, under 4 over here, and over 4. As you go down, now you're going to notice that your strands are really, really long compared to the second belly. But in order for us to get out to that 6 foot mark, we're going to need it. So under 4/4 on this side. Basically the same thing all the way down the whole handle. So continue on here. Under 4/4. I'm trying to get to the 275 to show you what happens. Under 4/4 over here. You can see it's starting to come together. And you must pull all your strands through eventually. So it's pointing to this corner. Grab that top one. I'm already ready to go. Under 4/4. And now we've hit the 275. Okay, now you've hit the 275. Make sure everything is snug right here. Alright, so don't pull too tight. Make sure your strands are tucked underneath. There's no gaps. So grab that 275, go around the back, under 4/4. And then this is the other one. Point to that corner. Go around the back, under 4/4. Make sure they're tucked. See, I'm tucking them in right here. Making sure they're touching. Alright, now it's black. 550. Under 4/4. Black 550 right here. Under 4/4. Grab that one. Under 4/4. Grab this one. Under 4/4. It gets repetitive now. Because I don't do any, with this whip design, I didn't want to make it too, it's already got the 275 for a cool looking highlight. So I just wanted to do arrows all the way down. And since it's a Target whip, I decided not to do a transition knot. But you guys could if you wanted to. Alright, make sure it's all tight. At 270 or at 550. Pull that nice and tight. What I want you guys to do is continue, just like I just did, under 4/4 for the whole handle, until we get to the end of the catfish material, or in some cases the end of the hockey tape, if you guys didn't get that stuff. But I highly recommend it. So it's looking really tight right there, but remember, every time you grab one of these strands now, give it a good tug, and you should end up with a nice tight whip. And our angle right now is pretty severe. It's just going to get even more of an angle once it gets down towards the end of the handle where we get to the transition. So keep going on with under 4/4, and probably halfway down the whip I'll show you what we got. Alright, so we're a little bit over halfway. We covered the 7-inch piece of catfish slinky material, and it covered nicely, so if you guys used hockey tape, it would cover that really easy. But now we're down close to this, about 3 inches from the end of the other piece, and everything's going smooth. This overlay is a little bit overestimated, but that way I have control of the drop strands and when I want to drop them. So under 4/4. And as you go, just make sure your lines are straight. You go like this every once in a while, take it out, and keep that pinched. Flip it upside down, take a look at it. Everything looks pretty good right here. That's pretty much where the knot's going to go, so we can just snug those down later on. I'll show you. But other than that, it's going good. I think let me call it a night here. Keep going until you get to this spot, and I'll see you there. Anyways, when you're about to call it a night on a whip, I have a lot of cats, so I don't like leaving the cord just sitting on the floor so they can chomp on it or possibly eat it. We don't want that to happen. So when you call it a night, take the one side, either side, it doesn't matter. Take one side, go around the back, and go through right here, and just take that loop and pull tight, just snug, and then just take the cords and kind of wind them up. And take your whip, and there you go, and just set that up somewhere high just so the animals can't get to it, and when you have to go back to the vise, it won't be any big deal. You just take that, drop the whole bundle here on the floor, and undo your loop, and you're ready to rock again. So anyways, that's about it for tonight. Alright guys, you need a break. Alright guys, we're on night 4. I don't know if you guys care about that, but night 4 of production on the whip, and hopefully you guys are taking in all the information that I am giving out and come up with a great whip, just like I am. So the other thing I want to mention is that you must buy the spring steel, the music wire, because if you buy just a 3/16 inch rod that's not the music wire, that rod will bend because it won't spring back like this will. And usually anything smaller than that size, even if it is music wire, it'll just bend anyways. So you need to get the 3/16 inch music wire made by K&S is the brand. And the number on that one is, the item number is 509. So just another tip. Let's hop back on the whip. Stay confident, you can build this. Alright guys, so we're still going down under 4/4, even if it is the 275 paracord. We're just sorry, I'm really tired. We're really I've been working a lot lately at my fuel company. So snug your strands down if you took a break. Make sure you snug all 8 down on each side before you start plaiting. Under 4/4. And I keep saying this, but once I get to here, I'll show you what you guys need to do. Alright, so we plaited the whole handle. We made it to the transition, which is right there. That would be the 14-inch mark of our core, the rod, and it's right here. So I want you to keep going tight. Keep it going, and keep it tight for about 3 inches. Going under 3. So it'd be 14 to 17 inches if you measure the whole handle. Okay, so we've reached our drop strand point. We're going to drop 2 at the same time. If you guys don't want to, you can you have the option to not drop one, go down a little bit, then drop the next one. And if you don't drop both, you don't keep your pattern. So I'll show you guys how to do that right now. Alright guys, so we've reached 16 inches, I think, from the top of the handle down to the transition, about 16 and a half or 16, and we're ready to drop a strand. But we're in the transition area, so we're going to drop 2 at the same time. So it's going to be, depending on what side, let's take a look. My shortest one on this side, and my shortest one on that side. I know there's going to be some waste, but I always overshoot, that way you have enough and you don't run out. So we're going to drop this strand first, because our last pass was over here. Actually, we could drop both at the same time. They're both 4 up. 4 strands on the bottom, even counting the 275. It's the 4th one up. So what we're going to do, make sure everything's tight, pull everything tight, I'm going to take this one. I'm going to go around the back with it. We're not actually going to use it. We're just going to set it back there for a second. So it's like running straight down the whip, like that. We're going to take that fourth one on this side, fourth one up. We're going to go underneath, in the front, but this is a little trickier. The back one drops easy, this one doesn't. So, everything's tight. We're going to pull it underneath right here. Make sure that's the one. I always mark them with a knot. That way you know you're dropping the right one. If you're dealing with the same color. So pull everything tight. Sometimes these don't turn out too good at first. Don't pull these tight, just let these hang down. Alright, so we're going to take our black one, our black 550 paracord highlight strand. We're going to go under 4 over 3. Forget this one's there. This one's just going to hang right down the middle. Other side has black. Sorry from the way. Under 4 over 3. And let that one just fall out. Like I said, that one's going on the back. And snug everything up. Move your strands up, make sure it's close. I'm always pinching this area, so. Under 4 over 3 on this side. Get your other 275, pull it. Under 4 over 3. This is where it gets kind of wonky, guys. Kind of wants to do its own thing. Especially with a double strand drop. Don't trim those strands yet either. We're going to go over them for about 2 inches, then we'll trim them. To make sure that this looks good. And that way you can always reverse if you have to go a little farther down the whip to drop your strand. See, this is what I hate right here, where it's getting real thin. One in this corner. So you guys that are experienced in this, you really don't need to watch this. Just drop the strands as you go. As the stuff starts to clump up, you'll notice underneath is where I noticed it first. When the strands start to bunch up underneath, then you are ready to drop a strand because it's getting too tight. See, right now it's kind of a mess. You gotta pull your strands through, and they're really long. And that one that was around the back, let's see if we can find him right there. Here we go. Pull these strands. You can see it's starting to come together. It's important this first drop is tight, because it's going to loosen up when we crack it. Now, point to this corner. I want you guys to really pay attention now, since we're in 14 plat. Under 4 over 3. Make sure everything's looking good. We don't want no gaps, is what I'm saying. So tuck these strands up. Under 4 over 3 on this side. And like I said, it's going to be a pain in the butt. Pull these strands through. Make sure they're not tangling up. probably not going to show you every. Well, I'll show you the drop areas, but and how to drop them. But I won't show them as much because the video is going to get really long, really fast. So now that strand we dropped on the top, there's a gap, a little bit. What you want to do is pull that down backward. Under 4 over 3 on this side. Try to keep them in line. And over here too as well. Let's see. Looks good. Under 4 over 3 on this side. Wait. I missed one. That 275 hiding there. Under 4 over 3. It'll get easier as we go because there won't be so much extra strand length here. Alright, now you can snug them down. So our drop looks good. The ones down the back, the ones on the top of the front. And we kept our pattern, we kept our V. That's the whole point of dropping too. Under 4 over 3 on this side. Can't remember if I pulled this side or not. Most of this stuff is going to roll out, so it looks pretty good right now. It looks like we're still pretty straight. It's one of the hardest parts. You give this strand down the front. Don't pull it too much. Watch that right there. Okay. That's about it. And that back one, that one's a little better. This front one always likes to slip underneath, so you don't want to pull that one too much. It'll roll out. So take a look around the back, make sure there's no gaps. Under 4 over 3 on this side. So grab the back one and grab the front one. We are ready to cut it. If you can find the scissors, here we go. Alright, for this one we're going to make the back one probably shorter. It's hard to tell you. Well, I know where to drop it, but here we go. Let's cut that one at 3.5. From where it dropped, 3.5 down, kind of at an angle. And you can choose to glue them. Usually I just tack them, and then this one's gonna be a 4. Make sure you don't cut your strands that are on there because that could make big problems. I don't even know where they went, but I know I cut the right ones. So take some glue, some Gorilla Glue. This is what I do once in a while. You don't have to do this for every whip, but just a dab. It's not necessary to keep it. It's just to keep it down and flat. So make sure that's straight down the back. So press it. Should be good. Front one, right about here. See, I didn't use much. Straight. Hold it. Okay. Then continue plaiting. Under 4/3 for every strand. And now we're going to switch. We're going to be a little looser on our pulls. So you have to pull them real tight now. Under 4/3. Main thing is make sure they're just tucked underneath right here on the back side. Make sure they're close together and there's no gaps, because that's what I see a lot of people making mistakes like that. And that's very important that they're as tight together as you can get them. And now we can start just keep going until we have to drop our next strand under 4/3. You should be able to go past this and cover that, and then we'll have our drop strand down in here somewhere. Alright. Pause the video, take a break, okay? Totally covered our drop strands. The one in the back's totally gone, but the one in the front has a little bit shown right there still. We're about 19 and a half inches in from the top of the handle to this point. And now I want you to switch for sure how you're pulling these strands. So just tug and that's it. Go around the back under 4/3. Instead of wrenching on them now, we're going to loosen up a little bit here. Under 4/3 on this side. You can see our drop strands barely showing. The reason I do this, you get softer as you go down. Because after you, if you guys choose to wax it, which I don't think I showed that you need wax in the beginning, but if you do choose to wax it, remember the color's going to turn a little darker. The gray might turn quite a bit darker, but it's totally optional. I prefer to wax it. You can get that as paraffin wax at Walmart. That is in like the where the jars are at Walmart, usually in the cooking area. So pick up some of that and get one of them big pans. It's about, I think it's like 20 by 12, and it's about 3 inches deep. You need like 8 of those blocks, 11 of those blocks of wax, and throw them in there. Then you heat them at 200 degrees and then turn it down to 180, and that should be ready to drop your whip in once they're completely melted. we'll show you guys at the end here. Anyways, keep going until we get to our next spot. Okay, we're 21 inches in. I'm ready to drop our next strand, or our next set of strands. So you have, let's see if you can see that. There's 5 here, 5 grays, whatever your main color is going to be. And there's 1, 4, 2, 4, 3, and 4, 4. What I mean by that, there's 4 strands of gray on each side in a segment of 4. So that is the spot we have to drop right now. Alright, so we're set up right now at 21 inches in. And I believe it's the 3rd one up right now. I marked them, I tied a knot. I know it's a lot of waste, but it's okay. Paracord's cheap. Take this, and we have one on this side with a knot. So we got one more pass. Under 4 over 4. Under 4 over 3. This side. We are ready to drop the strand. So pull that one through. It's going to be a different setup for everybody, so. Now, we have this one right here, which is the 4th one up. We're just going to give that one last tug and go around the back. And let's see about this side. Still the 3rd one up here. So we're going to take this one. We're dropping that one next. Now it's going to switch. Under 3 over 3 on this side. Like I said, that one got the last tug. It's around the back now. Let me trim that shorter so you can see it. Okay. Now that one's ready to drop on this side. So we're going to go into the front, pull it one more time, and just work its way underneath. Don't pull it too hard, because remember, like I said, it likes to go underneath and disappear. Okay, so we have 6 strands on each side now. Excuse me. We're going to go under 3 over 3 on that side. Same thing with this black strand. Under 3 over 3 on this side. There are 275. Under 3 over 3 on this side. And that one's going to start, it's going to try to kick up. Just tuck it on the back there. This one, under 3 over 3 on this side. And this is going to look hopefully okay here. Under 3 over 3 on this side. Like I said, make sure these are snugged up as we're getting ready here. Under 3 over 3 on this side. And now we've hit the spot where we need to snug everything down. Not super tight, just snug. Pull your strands through. straighten them out. I'm going to trim that one more. The back one I'm going to trim a little bit. There. That way it's not in the way. Okay. Now you're going to see a big gap where you dropped the first one. What you do is just pull it down, but pulling it backward that way. Okay, looks good. Under 3, over 3 on this side. And same thing for this side. Take a look, because it's actually a double drop showing, but you won't see it much, so under 3 over 3 on this side. Under 3 over 3 on this side. And I'm going to tape my vise back up. Don't tighten real tight because that'll just squish the whip. We want to just have it snug. That's why it was loose. Make sure these are snug down. And make sure your drop strand looks good on both sides. No gaps. Nothing major anyways. I'm not looking for huge gaps. If you got bigger gaps, try pushing the strands up and snugging them up. So we're going to cut these and we're going to glue them. This time we're going to cut the back one at 4 inches. We'll switch it up. So I know where my drop strand is. Give it a little tug to make sure, right there. And then the back one a little tug. So the front one will be at 3.5. And the back one's at 4. I'm just going to guess on that one. Right around there. Take your glue. Tack them. Tack the front. Try to do one at a time. I just did 2 at a time. So there we go. And here's the other one. Make sure it's running straight down the back. Okay, something like that. Continue plaiting down under 3 over 3. This is 12 plait. That was our last drop right there, at about 21 inches. And if you count these segments down, so it switched from 4 on each side right here, 4 grays. You can see that 1, 2, 3, 4 to 3, 1, 2, 3. There's 5 segments of that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're ready to drop a 275 paracord. Hope you guys are enjoying yourself so far. And about 27 inches down the whip is what I just measured, so yep, 27 inches. In the ballpark, give or take. So get your strands snug. See, I'm not pulling tight now, I'm not wrenching on them like I was at the transition. So we're just snugging them down. And do this side, same thing. Hope somebody watches this video. I don't know. Just trying to help. Get that out of the way. Not too tight with the vise. already marked our strand, our 275 that we have to drop. Our first one's right here. Got a knot in it. I know it's gonna be long, but it's okay. Alright, this one we're gonna go around the back. Just like before. So our corner, our one's pointing this to this corner. Go on the back, we're gonna go under 3 over 2. Just forget about that one 275. That's now a drop strand. Pull it snug. And this one's gonna be our next drop strand with a knot in it. Okay. Everything straight. We're pointing to that corner. Around the back, under 3, over 3 at this point. Now, at 275, we're going to work towards the front. Get our 550s tucked right there. Might be a different setup for everybody, depending on how you set your strands up. But now we're in 10 plat. Just forget about those 2 drop strands. Okay, and under 3 over 3, over 2. Run the back with the 275, under 3 over 2. Under 3 over 2. And now you can trim these if you want. We can just trim them right now because they're so small. Do the front one at 4 inches, and the back one at 3.5-ish. From where they dropped. And continue plaiting down to the tape. I'll show you what we gotta do when we get there. Stay confident, you can build this. Alright, so we made it to the tape. Now, remember how we tabbed it over? I'm going to take that off. Nice and easy. Alright, and it's gonna look like a mess for some. But what we're going to do, we're just going to keep on going. We're going to plait right over the top of that. You can see our drop 275s are still here. Don't worry about gluing those down. Those aren't really too important to glue down. Just make sure they're in place. I go right over the top of this. Under 3 over 3 over 2. Keep on rolling. Under 3 over 2. Under 3 over 2 on this side. Under 3 over 2 on this side. Just keep going. You'll kind of see how it just falls into place. Pull your strands through. It can be a tangled mess sometimes. Straighten them out. Okay, and I think we're officially over it. Now you're going to feel how it's really soft underneath because these strands are just hanging there. It's just kind of comb them out, just like that. Make sure they're straight. Make sure there's no knots in them. Is the other thing. Under 3/2. Under 3/2 on this side. And we're coming up on the drop strand. We'll have to drop another one here pretty quick. Another 275 is going down. So continue on. All right, guys, you need a break. Okay, I got my hemostats on the side right here. So you remember where our last drop strand was at? See the double right there? The two highlight strands that are 275 paracord. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's our next drop strand. Now let's measure it so you guys can get an idea if that's not your setup at this point. 32 inches. To here. Alright, so we're ready to drop the next strand, which happens to be the 275 that's purple. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. You can see this right here. There's 5 strands on this side. You're going to grab that center one, give it a tug, and we're just going to go around the back with it again. So tuck it away. See how we're pointing to this corner with this gray strand right here? That's the next one we grab. Under 2/2. Okay, so far so good. And our next one's going up front. So give it the last tug. Pull around the front. And we're going to do this under 2/2. Not too tight. Under 2/2. We're just going to continue down for about a couple passes here. Under 2/2. Under 2/2. Okay, and now let me look at the core. Let's see. Alright, so we got a lot of strands going on here. I want you to take a couple 275s from the core that are not the ones that you dropped and trim them. So we'll snip this one right about there, and this one will go a little higher up, like a 1/2 inch versus that one. Just don't take any of the real long ones, because that's our taper. But now we can cut the 275s to length, which is about 4 inches from the drop and 3.5 inches from the drop. So give those one last tug. Make sure it's all nice and tight right there. Not super tight, just snug. Take this one, about 4 inches, and the other one about 3.5. Get those out of there. And now they've become the core. Alright. under 2 over 2, which is 8 plat. Make sure these 550 paracord strands are tucked under nice. You don't need no gaps. Under 2 over 2. Under 2 over 2 on that side. And just continue on. This one's going to be a long run with this 8 plat. I think we go for a while here, if I remember correctly. So continue doing that, and as you go, make sure these strands don't have knots, and just keep kind of combing them down so they're running straight. Okay, and it's 8 plat, under 2 over 2 from here on till the next drop strand. We're still in 8 plat right now. We're moving along here. As you're going, I'm not pulling these strands real tight. I'm just pulling them enough to seat in place. So you can just see I'm even tugging less than what we were about halfway down. So continue on doing that. Just guiding them around, making sure they're nice and snug up there. Under 2 over 2. Continue. Another thing that you're going to notice is going to happen is that you're going to start pulling the strands a little bit steeper angle. Instead of out to the side, it's going to be more downward now. And I don't want you to pull them tight. I want you to just barely pull them like that as we go. They're going to look a little bunched because it's starting to fill up, and we're getting ready to drop a strand. So as you go, you can just see I'm barely pulling now. That way the whip has a lot of life at this point. Very flexible in this area because the wax is actually going to tighten it up a little bit. So not pulling tight is very important at this point, I think. A lot of guys just wrench on them at this point, but no. The wax is going to take care of that, so. Okay, so I just measured it. 8 plat, 4 on each side. We're at 46 inches right here, or 3 foot 10 inches. So now what we're going to do, and it's going to be a black one for me, whatever you guys pick for the center color highlight. So we're going to drop one of these, not both. And give it one last tug. Make sure everything else is tugged up or snugged up. Yeah. So we'll take this one first. We're going to go around to the front. We're pointing to that corner. Under 2 over 2 on this side. Under 2 over 1 on this side. Okay? And then point to that corner. Take that one. Under 2 over 2 on this side. Give one more tug. Well, that was a little too much right there, but just mush it. Under 2 over 1 on this side. Under 2 over 2 on this side. And we can trim this one. This black one. Now take a look at your core. instead of just trimming it anywhere. See, I got some strands right here. So what we're going to do, we're going to offset it in between that one and this one. Because it's a core now, so we want a nice taper. It's about 4 or 5 inches. So under 2 over 1 on this side. And I'm coming out of the vise. Under 2 over 2 on this side. And that could differ for you guys. It could be opposite. It could be, if that one's shorter on this side, drop that one instead. And that goes for, you know, everything else was even though, so it should be even for you. And make sure your drop strand looks good. The area. We got some fuzz right there. We can just take a lighter. You see that? Where the core? Just take a lighter and melt that. No more glue for the strand to drop, so continue on for about, what was that, like 4 passes, and then we'll drop the next one. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that V right there. That black. That's where, oh wait, right here, I'm sorry. This is where we drop the first strand. And you can see the tip right there. And we went 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to drop this one. Should have about that much left, so that one's pretty close to being the right length. So we got 3 on this side, we got 4 on that side. What are we going to do? We're going to go under 2, over 2 on that side. And now that one's going to get tucked around the back. And continue on with 3 on each side, which is 6 plat. Under 2 over 1. As you go, you kind of see what's going to happen there. You're going to have to snug it up. Give that one last tug, the drop strand. And let's see here. Under 2 over 1 on both sides now. And if it's in a good spot, you don't have to trim it, but you can see it's pretty good. It's offset just right. We just trim the top of it on an angle. Something like that. And continue on in 6 plat, under 2 over 1, and I'll see you at the next drop area, which is probably going to be a little ways yet. Make sure your lines are run straight. What will happen is it'll offset a little bit from the dropping 1 at a time, as you can see up there, but it realigns, and just make sure you're going straight as you can get it down the whip. And carry on. Okay, so we've hit our next drop spot. We were still in 6 plat right now. Now you see that mark right there where we dropped our last strand to the core? I'm going to measure that, and it looks like about 8 inches for our next drop, and that could be on either side for you guys. So we're back down to the core here. Now you're going to see what we got going on here. Should have about that much left. It ain't much. Well, like about 6 inches of 275 in the core. Now what I want you to do is take that one, the long one, and I want you to trim it back. Try not to cut your cords, your overlay cords. Trim it off, so you only get like about a 1/2 inch tab sticking out of that other one. It might be different for you guys, so right around there. So this is our next drop strand right here. This is a tricky one. There's a new method you could try if you want to try it. Maybe I should. Alright, we're going to do this. Alright, so we trimmed that one. We're going to flip the whip over, upside down. Okay. Now you're going to back the strands off a little bit here. So you just back them up a little bit because you're on the bottom. I'm going to take that one back. Just go in reverse. This is going to help with the drops here. I'm going to go back on this one. Let me see here. So on the bottom now, we're upside down on the whip. Give these strands a little more tug. Okay. That one should be in pretty close to the same spot, right in the middle for the drop. So as you can see, the pattern is switched from over 1 to over 1 under 2. Or I mean over 1 over 2. So we're pointing to that corner. We're going to take this one. And since that one's in the middle right here, we're going to tuck that one underneath. We're going to go under, we're going to split it. This becomes a core strand now. And now we're under 1 over 1 on both sides. Or on the one side for now. And under 1 over 2 on this side. Now this is tricky to keep this tight and no gaps. That's what I found out. But just make sure that that underneath on this side, the 2 strands are nice and tight together. So we're under 1 over 2 on this side still. And then under 1 over 1 on this side. And give that center that drop strand one more tug. That should be it for it. Just keep an eye on that corner here, because this is going to be this is going to want to gap out on you over here. Under 1 over 2 on this side. Kind of twisted there in the vise, you see that. Just take a look at the front, make sure it's flat and straight. Because the whip doesn't want to roll that way, that's why. So, back in the vise, it's going to look wonky on this side. Take this strand, we're going under 1 over 1 on this side. Make sure these are snugged up. And our core strand, we're going to snip that pretty long. So we're going to snip that at about, let's get the tape measure out here. Let's do that one at about 6 inches long. from where it dropped. It's right about there. And just continue plaiting down. Under 1 over 2. So we've incorporated the new method of dropping, making the strand drops look nice. This way it doesn't show any double drops. Under 1 over 2. I mean under 1 over 1 on that side. Under 1 over 2 on this side. And that could vary for you guys. That could be on the opposite side. It's okay. Try not to pull too tight, but tight enough. Under 1 over 1 on this side. Just continue doing that. Down the whip. Okay, so we're ready to drop the next strand, and we're 4.5 inches down from where we dropped that first one on this side. We're going to take our scissors. We're going to snip that core flush with the bottom. And now you can see this one's ready to drop. Right here. I can't see. Help. There we go. And we're already over 1 over 1 under 1 over 1 on this side, and we were doing under 1 over 2 on this side. But now we're going to switch, because this is going to become the core. So, oof, don't pull too hard. Just smush it. There we go. Now you should have 4 plait under 1 over 1 on both sides. Because that one became the core. One more tug for that one. And this is the one we're actually going to cut at 6 inches from where we drop it. So measure down 6 inches, cut it on an angle. Continue plaiting under 1 over 1 on both sides now. I'm going to give us a 5-inch mark here pretty quick. Or I mean a 5-foot mark. That way I can keep you guys in the ballpark of the length. So continue on until you get to the end of that. Okay, so this is our 5-foot mark right there. That's from the end of the whip handle all the way to here. And we have about 6 inches to go. And we are currently about ready to drop off the core strand, which is our final core piece right there. So just keep going nice and soft here. Snug, not tight. If you keep that going, let me zoom in here. Okay, so we've made it to the end. You can see where we dropped our last strand in the core right there. and now it got really thin, which is what we want. I need you to measure 13 inches to where it stops. Perfect. So this is a point where you guys can choose to make a 6-footer or a 6.5 foot whip. But we're doing a 6-footer today. But if you wanted to keep going a little bit more, a couple more inches, it should work out just fine too. But 13 inches to here, and now what we're going to do, we're just going to tie it up and prepare our fall. When cracking a whip, you want to not use as much power.